great scenes at Wembley, Patrick, and obviously for the fans. Brilliant to be there, but let's just focus on one of the guys we didn't really mention today for Arsenal is Mesut Ozil. He's had an interesting time at Arsenal, came in and was just killing it, setting up and scoring goals, and then had a bit of a flat time, not only for Arsenal, but for Germany as well. It's been a bit of a problem for Germany. How do you think he will go today?
Yeah, he's ready. He's a player that played at Real Madrid with such a great quality of players around him. And I think he took that form back into in Arsenal when he came there, when he arrived there. Then I think he got to deal with Wilshere got injured. There was a few players around him that got injured, so it was a different lineup. Gasol, who wanted the number 10 position, and then he wanted the winger. So they're all players that wanted to have the ball and do the dribbling. And so I think he dropped his level a bit, try to be more of giving other players the ball and try to create something. Yet the last few weeks he came back in shape, and I think if they give him the space, what AstonVilla shouldn't do, he could be the creative midfield what Wilshere was against West Bromwich last week, and he can really hurt AstonVilla.
All right, that's enough from us for now. It's time to pause for Abide With Me. Then it's over to Martin Tyler and Stuart Robson for the 2015 FA Cup Final.
Feels like the FA Cup final now, sung every year since 1927. The official anthem. We're ready to go. The 134th FA Cup final, the 9th at the new Wembley. Arsenal's 19th, setting a new all-time record. The holders, Stuart Robson, against the club whose last FA Cup triumph was 58 years ago.
And Arsenal looking to make it 2 years on the trot. Last year they had trouble in that early stage against Hull. They may have similar trouble against a very good Aston Villa side. But Arsenal certainly should be favourites here.
side by side here. They're side by side in the Premier League alphabet, but were 37 points and 14 places apart in the Premier League table. The gap summed up by the 2 matches between them in the regular season. Arsenal taking all 6 points, scoring 8 and conceding none. But the Aston Villa fans are here in force, and they will expect their team to be exactly of the same mind. They saw a super semi-final performance, and that's the benchmark, Stuart.
Absolutely. Aston Villa in that game against Liverpool got it tactically spot on. Sherwood did a really good job, not just in motivating his players, but making sure that Liverpool couldn't play, and when they had the ball, they caused all sorts of problems.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome onto the pitch our chief guest today, His Royal Highness, the Duke of Cambridge.
Prince William has publicly gone on record that he supports Aston Villa. He's also heard from his brother, and this is his brother talking, not me, that all the rest of the royal family are Arsenal fans.
He's got a difficult afternoon, hasn't he? He's got to remain impartial. I'm sure he won't be up in that royal box.
Now, how good it is to see a reaffirmation of some deep-rooted traditional values in the home of football at a time when the governance of the world game is in such disarray. Clubs have met in 10 previous seasons in the FA Cup. They never played a final before. Arsenal winning through 7 times to Villa's 3. And when they have met, neither has ever gone on to lift the FA Cup. Obviously, that will change today. In terms of managerial experience, it's the master here and an apprentice in the other dugout, but Tim Sherwood is an apprentice who's already shown that he can learn the trade.
It's had a difficult couple of weeks, but what a great semi-final it was under the ownership of that man there.
Randy Lerner, who says he'll step down as chairman whatever happens after this chairman of Aston Villa, of course. The national anthem and sung by Alfie Boe.
God save our gracious Queen, long live our noble Queen. God save the Queen. Stand her victorious, happy and glorious, long to reign over us. God save the Queen. And now, once again, ladies and gentlemen, the teams competing in the
Well, the formality is nearly over, and the players will be bursting to get on with the game. And we can give you the team news.
number 1.
Last season, Arsene Wenger used his second-choice goalkeeper in the FA Cup, Lucas Fabianski. He played in the final. Wojciech Szczesny missed out then. Today, he does play after his Premier League demotion. Only 5 of this side actually started the final last season. Also in are the 2 fullbacks, Bellerin and Monreal. Francis Coquelin in midfield. Alexis Sanchez in his first season at the club, of course. And Theo Walcott, who was out injured a year ago, scored a hat-trick last Sunday in the Premier League and has edged out Olivier Giroud.
Well, with Walcott set to play as the main striker, Aston Villa cannot play too high up the field, which will allow more space for Ramsey, Ozil and Sanchez to entertain their positions to good effect. Coquelin and to a certain degree Cazorla will defend the space in front of their centre-backs, which should allow Bellerin and Monreal to break forward.
Aston Villa also had a goalkeeping issue about the fitness of Shay Given, but the 39-year-old is okay and plays 17 years after he played in an FA Cup final for Newcastle, also against Arsenal. Yoris Akure, who replaced the injured Nathan Baker during the semi-final, is in from the start today, although Baker is on the bench. Alan Hutton is preferred to Leandro Bacuna at right back, but it is the same front six which ran Liverpool ragged.
Yeah, Villa were tactically brilliant in that semi-final against Liverpool, and Sherwood looks like he's going with a similar shape here. Benteke leads the line well, and Zogbia and Grealish will look to find space in behind Arsenal's midfield. Cleverley and Delph will need to work hard to defend both in the central areas and also getting out to stop Arsenal's fullbacks causing too many problems.
Always a great honour for the chosen referee. That honour is bestowed only once, and today it's the turn of John Moss. And Santi Cazorla inspired the comeback against Hull. It's a change of ends. Arsenal haven't lost a game in the FA Cup since February 2013. They were beaten by Blackburn Rovers at the Emirates in the 5th round then. Theo Walcott was hurt in the 3rd round last season against Tottenham. And Arsene Wenger's barely used him, although he's been fit for some 5 or 6 months now. But he's certainly made a case, didn't he, against West Bromwich Albion, Stuart?
At just the right time as well. He's a great runner in behind defences. He's a good finisher now, Theo Walcott. He's got to make sure he links up the play, but they've certainly got lots of quality in this Arsenal lineup. Great attacking quality.
Well, he's in charge of the underdogs. He's kept Villa up. That was his main target when he came in on February the 14th, Valentine's Day. There'll be plenty of hearts for him if Villa go home with the FA Cup. And they are about to kick off. A couple of the survivors still from that side that won in 1957 are here today, including Peter McParland, who scored both goals against Manchester United. They were underdogs then. They are certainly not backed heavily here, but if they can play, particularly the likes of Cleverley and Grealish, who get the game underway, if they can play like they did against Liverpool, anything is possible. Arsenal going for 2 in 2. And Walcott straight away. Corey showed good speed and a bit of strength and a bit of composure in the first 30 seconds of an FA Cup final.
Yeah, he made a mistake to start with, Corey, as he did when he came on in that game against Liverpool, for Liverpool's opening goal. But he has got pace, he has got strength. And beside him, he's got Ron Vlaar, who's the reader of the game.
I'm sure you've worked it out by now, but Arsenal lost the toss for colours, and they're in their change strip of basic yellow shirts, a claret and blue of Aston Villa from the city of Birmingham. Arsenal fans will recall embarrassment at the hands here of Birmingham City in a League Cup final only 4 years ago. And they were probably even more overwhelming favourites than they are today. But this is another day, and we can talk all about history, and it does provide some lessons. It is about these players in this match, here and now.
And there's the battle that may influence the game. Alan Hutton bringing down Sanchez. It's a big battle out on that far side of the field.
Hutton who heads away. Another free kick given away by Aston Villa, taken quicker and shorter by Arsenal this time. Montreal had to sit it out with Kieran Gibbs starting against Hull. It's offside. Knocked down by Aaron Ramsey. And Walcott offside.
Well, Ramsey did really well in the air here, up against Richardson. Richardson came on the wrong angle. So he's turned his back on the ball. Walcott just makes his run too early.
Here's Ronvlar. Kieran Richards has missed the last 2 games with a calf strain, but he's back in at left back. It's usual May sunny cup final day. It's not particularly warm. And the later kick-off will help those temperatures drop for the players. Mertesacker. Remember, Arsenal were 2 down inside 8 minutes a year ago to Hull City. Delph, who got the winner in the semi-final. Hutton coming forward, and any cross towards Benteke's head has to be taken seriously. Give Chesney a bit of an early feel of the ball.
Maybe that's what Hutton's been brought into the side to do, not just deal with Sanchez defensive, but also get forward and get crosses in from that right-hand side. Sanchez did just about enough to get half a block on that cross. Good moment from Fabian Delph. Crossfield pass, wriggled away from a couple of challenges.
Tim Sherwood grew up as a boy, as an Arsenal fan. His father still follows the Gunners week in, week out. But today is business. Had a couple of poor results since they were safe, and knew this FA Cup final was on the horizon. Total collapse at Southampton. They were 5-0 down at half-time. They were beaten by already relegated Burnley at home last Sunday. A match in which Benteke did play. There were other changes with this match in mind.
That was a good run by Nzogbia, coming in field with the ball, just trying to reverse it back into the run of Benteke. And Zogbia, on occasions, caused Arsenal problems when he was playing for Wigan.
Westwood. And again. Followed by Shay Given, who was in the Newcastle side, lost 2-0 to Arsenal in 1998, Arsene Wenger's first FA Cup triumph. It was dropped the following year by Newcastle in favour of Steve Harper. He's still playing, of course, just finished season with Hull City. And they were beaten by Manchester United. He did get a winner's medal as a substitute, not used for Manchester City here 4 years ago. Quite a story, the Shay Given FA Cup story. Cleverly. Oh, and it's deflected through, but the flag was already up.
Could have been a big moment there. The ball broke in midfield. Westwood won a header, so did Delph. Then Benteke just makes his run fraction too early here. Arsenal trying to hold a very high line, just about offside.
It is a day for the fans, not just here in the stadium, but all around the world. I love and deeply respect this competition. It's rich history. And just to remind you, if Arsenal were to win here, in that rich history, they would be the most successful of all the FA Cup clubs, overtaking Manchester United, who they equalled with their win last season. Mertesacker. Bellerin, who scored the last of the 5, in which Arsenal beat Villa the last time they met. A different part of London. Alexis Sanchez. He can be electrifying and loves this stadium. 2 goals in the semi-final, 2 here for Chile to beat England. He's involved in this move. Well, the danger of turning your ball into your own net is considerable in those circumstances.
Good bit of play. Cazorla, little step over, tries to go down the outside. Aston Villa have players in that 6-yard area. Although he is one of the central midfield players, he will get forward Cazorla at the right time.
His next job is to take the corner. Nearly reached Mertesacker. Benteke made sure it didn't. This is Coquelin. Corner again.
Had to get that absolutely right. Okore started to close the ball down. Coquelin tried to take it beyond him. He gets that wrong and gives a penalty away.
Koscielny there with Mertesacker. Koscielny scored in the final last season. Got a touch again. Sometimes when you get those little flicks at the near post, they can veer on into the net, or somebody else can round it off by the other post.
Well, Okore's, I think, is in the wrong position. He's too far out the box. That's 2v2. And he just gets a run. Koscielny on Benteke. But Okore, one of the centre-halves, was almost marking on the edge of the penalty box. One of the Arsenal midfield players. He's got to get back in there and make it 3 versus 2.
Nicely taken by Mertesacker. Bellerin is very quick. Arsenal let us all know that they had a bit of a race in pre-season last summer in Walcott. Normally the quickest was beaten by Bellerin. I'm not sure whether Walcott was fully fit, but Bellerin certainly looks very quick.
That's what Theo Walcott said anyway, that he wasn't fully fit on that occasion.
Helped on by Westwood, but at the moment Arsenal, as you would expect, trying to call the tune here. And they're adding to their tally of corners.
First time I've really seen Ozil involved in the game, playing the little 1-2. Delph getting back and getting the challenge in, and he's going to have to do time and time again. Ramsey doesn't really want to play it on the right-hand side. He continually is making runs infield to cause Aston Villa problems.
Different kind of corner now. Ozil with the outswinger. Benteke did well. Chance for Ozil to play it in again. Probably a free kick that Benteke felt he had to give away.
I think he was just beaten by the skill of Cazorla there. Great little turn by the Spaniard. Looks as though he's going to come back, then just change his direction. That's not really where Benteke wants to be defending. It's a poor challenge from him. He's lucky to get away without the yellow card.
Concern for Tim Sherwood. Shouldn't forget, of course, his side were a goal down to Liverpool and turned it around to get through the semi. They could go a goal down in the final here. Plenty of movement, but not in the end any great authority in the delivery.
They tried to work a different set play there. Ozil was waiting for Ramsey to make a late run. It was read by the Aston Villa player.
There's a side issue here. Arsenal have already qualified for Europe via their league placing. And last season, Hull qualified for the Europa League, even though they lost the final. Well, that rule has been changed now. So if Villa win, of course, they will be in the Europa League. But if they lose, there'll be another place for the Premier League high finishers, and it will go to Southampton. It's the kind of game that Arsenal fans love seeing, and Villa might fear. Short into passing. Nicely laid wide by Benteke, who's charging into the box where Richardson may well look for him arriving. And Chesney does well with the punch.
Chesney does brilliantly with the punch. It's well worked out to this left-hand side. Because Ramsey's going infield, there's lots of space for Richardson, but that's a perfect punch from the goalkeeper, Brave. Good technical punch from Chesney.
Had a bit of an issue, hasn't he, in the last couple of days with his dad, who's tweeting, as people do these days, the social media, saying some of the comments about Wojciech's management that the son has disassociated himself from.
I think he's had to do that on many occasions over the last 2 or 3 years.
Sadly, they apparently haven't spoken for a couple of years, both international goalkeepers with Poland, father and son. There's the German World Cup winners. Mertesacker and Ozil. Monreal. Nicely done. That could be the first booking for Tom Cleverley.
And you'd have to say a silly one from Tom Cleverley here. There's no real threat when he made the challenge on Monreal. He knew exactly what he was doing. He's going to have to be careful for the rest of the game now. A player that likes to put his foot in.
Well, trying to hold a very high line. Sanchez stabbing it across. Oh, it's a brilliant save by Given. Arsenal so close to taking the lead here, but Shay Given had other ideas. And Villa counter-attack with Grealish.
Well, what a save it was from Given. Koscielny again was the danger in the box. It's a well-worked set play. Sanchez getting the turn in, just lifting it into the danger area. Vlaar can't get close to Koscielny. What a great save this is. Going one way, just gets enough on it.
In by Grealish. Another good piece of work by Chesney, who was erratic in the semi-final. Fault for the goal they conceded to Reading. But both goalkeepers have started well here.
Well, Arsene Wenger will be pleased about. 2 crosses have come into the box, aimed at Benteke. The last one was a bit too high, but Chesney's dealt with both of them. And that really has to be Aston Villa's biggest threat to Arsenal. Benteke in the air.
Ramsey. It's cut wide to Bellerin by Cazorla. This is where Bellerin can show his pace against Richardson. And the young fullback going on. And it's the outside of the netting. And cheers from certain parts of the Arsenal support. That might have been 1-0 to the Gunners. Bellerin certainly played a big part in the setup.
Well, Richardson does well to start with, but Bellerin stays on his feet. It's a good little ball into the box. Look as though Okore may have got the touch here. Ramsey, as he does, making another run into the box.
First played in an FA Cup final, Aaron Ramsey, when he was only 17 for Cardiff against Portsmouth. The bigger imprint he's made on the competition, of course, the decisive goal of the 5 in last year's final. The big helping of goals by the standards of the new Wembley. There have been a good few 1-0s.
I have to say that at the moment Arsenal are in control of this game. Their 1 and 2 touch passing is playing around any sort of pressure Aston Villa are trying to put on them in midfield. Zola's running things.
Official number of supporters for each club, just 25,000 each. And a crowd will be around the 90,000 mark all told. The FA supports football at all levels, and tickets are spread far and wide to, quotes, the football family. And Zogbia hasn't seen too much of the ball so far. Benteke.
Well, it's important that Coquelin, when the ball goes into Benteke, Coquelin just gets in front of him, doesn't give him chance to turn. Coquelin from behind, Coquelin from the front.
Arsenal pressed quite high by Tim Sherwood's men then, including Jack Grealish, who's getting a lot of publicity these days. He has a big decision to make about which country he's going to represent at senior level. The Republic of Ireland, who he's played for in their youth teams, or England, the country in which he was born. Good work by Coquelin. Two cutting it out for Villa. I'm sure Westwood and Blah, that wasn't going through for the run of Mesut Ozil. Delph. Running into trouble. Ozil, Sanchez with him. And Walcott, I think, would have been offside, but Ramsey. It's a chance.
And it was made by Ozil, little nutmeg. The cross wasn't particularly good. Vlaar tried to head it, but as Ramsey made his run, there was the nutmeg that's already taken place. You're right, Walcott may have just been offside. Got a lucky bounce. Watch Ron Vlaar tries to head it. Ramsey just snatches at his shot. Big chance for Arsene Wenger's men.
Amazingly, his 7th FA Cup final as Arsenal's manager. He's only lost the one, and they should have won that against Liverpool in 2001. Michael Owen is just up alongside us on the gantry here. Saved the day and won the day for Liverpool.
Probably the only one they didn't deserve to win was that one against Manchester United at the Millennium Stadium.
Which was their last trophy until last season. 9-year gap. Bellerin. Ramsey. Arsenal pushing 2 up on this occasion. This time it was Ozil alongside Walcott. Delph. Benteke, 2 really key players. If Villa are to win, they've got to, you feel, impose themselves on the match fully. Grealish. It's towards Benteke, been flagged offside. Chesney concentrating on the ball. John Moss concentrating on keeping the game flowing.
But his starting position was really good, Chesney. When that ball came into the box, he was waiting for the cross. Here's the challenge from Delph. It's his trailing leg that wins the ball. Fair challenge on Sanchez. But again, he has to get that absolutely right, Fabian Delph.
Hutton's header. Benteke. Grealish. Cleverly, he's got a bit too close to the action, and Walcott could be away here in the way that he can make himself such an effective central striker. Sheer speed. Jack Grealish, who plays with absolutely no fear. Allegedly, when Tim Sherwood gave him his Premier League debut, Grealish's response was, "About time." Which, even if it isn't true, it does sound as though it might be true, knowing Jack Grealish. Sums him up. Well, here's Aston Villa. We've got through the first quarter at 0-0 against the favourites Arsenal. A royal occasion at Wembley.
He hasn't had a good start to the game here, Grealish. He's been caught on the ball 2 or 3 times.
To work hard there, Theo Walcott, but he kept possession for his side. Ozil, lovely change of direction. Sanchez loves to come in on his right foot from the left-hand side. Headed back by Monreal. Up in the air a bit by Vla. And Akore. Santi Cazorla, back lift and a lovely whip pass to the far side. Ozil, Walcott couldn't force it in. A combination of maybe Richardson and the goalkeeper, probably more likely Richardson, flinging himself into where he thought Walcott was going to plant it.
Well, he does really well here, Richardson. Again, Arsenal playing some delightful football in and around the box. When it comes across, he's got to score, Theo Walcott. But Richardson does really well in the right place at the right time. But it seems only a matter of time before Arsenal take the lead here.
Bellerin. Here's Ramsey. Well, a great block by Richardson, a fine save by Given from Koscielny. Arsenal knocking on the door. Bellerin. Away by Delph. Cazorla. Shot by Ashley Westwood. Arsenal take the free kick without sending big men up from the back.
Here is that block again. Just about gets his right thigh across onto the ball. Great stop.
Cazorla pulling the strings. Bellerin giving Ozil the ball and the responsibility. Offside. And Arsenal close to opening up Aston Villa again.
Well, Sanchez, Cazorla, Ozil starting to get more involved here. Ozil had a slow start, but lovely little back heel. Again, Walcott just makes his run fraction too early. Here is that block again. Richardson just about seeing the danger.
Teams have made left-back his position, Kieran Richardson now. The frustration of Arsene Wenger there. It's 10 years ago that Richardson scored 2 on his England debut in Chicago. Playing in midfield. Tasked of passing, but didn't get anywhere that time. Good presence of mind by Akore to know that Vla was free. Still Richardson. So Arsenal caught up with him in the shape of Ramsey. Cazorla, Ozil. And here is a chance for Walcott. And for Ramsey, it's a difficult angle. It's don't know whether it was an attempt to go for goal or to try and get it across for Alexis Sanchez.
I think he's trying to shoot for goal here. Very difficult.
The deflection made it comfortable for Given.
But again, Arsenal played around pressure. First of all, Cazorla just toe-poked the ball past his marker. Ozil just flicking the next one into Walcott. Walcott reversing his ball out to Ramsey. They're playing really well at the moment, Arsenal. Villa have just got to hang on in here.
They started their season here, Arsenal, of course. Well cut out by Okora, otherwise Walcott would definitely been on. They started their season with a very good win here in the Community Shield against Manchester City. Probably the best they played at the new Wembley. Didn't play very well in the semi-final. See off Reading in the end, only through a goalkeeping mistake by Evan Federici, who's just got himself a good move from Reading to Bournemouth. He's a much better goalkeeper than that moment suggested. Delph, need a bit of the ball, you feel, just to give Arsenal something to think about, even if it's just keeping the ball in this part of the pitch. Westwood. Cleverly. Preferred to Bakuna, let me remind you, right back today from the semi-final side. Hutton was injured actually that day, so might have been the first choice. They're pulling back by Delph, and maybe sometimes you feel the captains get a little bit of extra leniency. It's a booking, really, isn't it?
It is, and it's always the case. Delph have made a poor mistake on the ball, controlling the ball, had it taken off of him, and then trying to rectify the situation. Grabs hold of Sanchez. But apart from Arsenal passing the ball really well, they've defended well all around the field in this first 30 minutes.
And the goalkeepers played well when called upon. Cazorla. Ramsey, 2-on-1 here. Bellerin making the 2. Defended by Vla. Ooh, it's not very well played by Grealish. And he's got out of the jam. He apologises for... It's a cool moment, but technically not very good. And he got the ball.
Well, Grealish has had a poor game. Ramsey just trying to... There, it hits him on the hand rather than putting his hand to the ball, but... Free kick to Aston Villa.
And relieved Jack Grealish.
But in that game against Liverpool, he played further infield, Jack Grealish. He was finding space in behind Benteke. Tim Sherwood has had to play him that little bit wider so far up against Bellerin. It hasn't really worked for him.
Handball against Richardson. Ramsey having just been penalised for something similar, a little aggrieved. He probably had a better view of it than the ref. Grealish. Cleverly. So certainly grateful to Aston Villa getting his career back on track again. This loan from Manchester United. Delph. Now's a chance to find Benteke. And out comes Szczesny. Oh, and probably wasn't quite sure of his bearings, I don't think. It's more of a problem for the Arsenal goalkeeper. I mean, we're in so many cup finals, and certainly you'd think over the last 100, when the game sort of sorted itself out into a shape, big balls into the box for a big striker have been at the heart of a team trying to win the trophy. Here are Villa trying to do just that.
Yeah, it's a good ball in. Well, he gets something on it. Mertesacker may have got something on it as well, but he's decided that he's going to come for everything. Wojciech Szczesny. He's a very confident goalkeeper.
Good spot by Westwood. Stop Ozil getting on the ball. Well, he got his place in the Premier League team back as well, didn't he, Shay Given, which just put a question mark. He'd been the FA Cup goalkeeper this season, but Brad Guzan, the USA keeper, made a mess on a goal at Manchester City. Really hasn't been seen since that game. Shay Given, who's hung around for just this kind of opportunity, is determined not to let it slip. He was never going to get that, Alan Hutton.
He wanted to get tight, but the ball just had enough pace on it, sliding in. Sanchez nicks it away from him, as he's so capable of doing. Now that leaves Hutton under a bit of pressure.
That's with cleverly too. Again, it's a very high line. Phillip. Ramsey. And Richardson in the way again.
May have just been better off to go with power there. Aaron Ramsey, as it came to him with his laces. Instead he tried to pick out a pass. I'm not sure there was a pass on there, but again finding space in the box.
Well, with no Olivier Giroud in the starting lineup, the great onus is on Mertesacker and Koscielny are both involved there. And Given lost it. And often you see a free kick given. There wasn't one given here.
There's that flick on you were talking about earlier on. Mertesacker that time just getting a good little flick on it. Had to go over one or two of his own players as well as an Arsenal player. Shay Given.
Ramsey stopped by Westwood. Took off the mark was Koscielny. Monreal. Alexis Sanchez, who loves playing here. Who doesn't? Hutton. Now Zolbia wide on the right. His last game against Burnley was at left back. And this is his more familiar role. But he's gone down a cul-de-sac. And Arsenal set up with Walcott in particular to play on the counter-attack. Given could have caught that, but he wasn't, to be sure. And did the necessary with his head. The inside and the outside. Here's Jack Grealish. Richardson on the gallop outside. Delph. Nice change of direction from Westwood. Still the cross is on for Benteke, who gets it down towards Grealish. That's the free kick against Phillip. He's not just someone who's going to score from crosses, Benteke. He can also set them up by laying the ball off. He was trying to do that then.
It was a very clever cross into the box as well. You can see, here's the last challenge. Both players going for the ball. Just think he falls awkwardly there, Cazorla. Here's that header from Shay Given. Cleared the danger just about. He's had a good game in this first 35 minutes.
One for you trivia lovers. It's the latest date for an FA Cup final ever. 2009 final. Chelsea and Everton was contested on May the 30th, but it had a 3 p.m. kickoff. So we've gone into uncharted territory. Used to be in March when the competition first began, then April, early May when I was growing up. More recently mid-May, and here we are almost into June. Doug Ellis, former chairman of Aston Villa, and has done so much for the club for decades. Very much one of their senior followers now. And Randy Lerner, who took over from Mr. Ellis, sees another Villa player booked and is not too happy about it. Stuart Robson.
There it is, Delph again, grabbing hold of Ozil. Had one tug at him, had a second. He's already been warned, Fabian Delph. So quite rightly gets a yellow card.
Sometimes the number of bookings tells you about the shape of the game, and I think it does a little bit here, doesn't it?
You're absolutely right. They've been desperate to get tackles in, Aston Villa. They've been run ragged at times, but they are still at 0-0. They've got to play better in the second half, you'd think.
Right as the touch from Benteke didn't quite come off, and Villa are back defending again. Bellerin. Santi Cazorla.
That's why it is so hard to stop Arsenal playing. Sanchez had gone infield, Monreal making the run down the outside. Coming back on his right foot, just a bit too deep with the cross, but it was Sanchez that was coming in at the far post.
Well, they've seen their team play well enough, but not have anything to show for it. And in cup football, how well you play can be irrelevant if you don't put the ball in the back of the net. The FA Cup is littered with such what-ifs.
But at the moment, even when Benteke is winning those balls in the air, it's not quite going in the right direction. Grealish didn't pick the right run on that occasion. It's just not going Aston Villa's way. Tim Sherwood's got a lot of work to do at half-time.
A bit of a swap for Arsenal at the moment. Alexis Sanchez is through the middle and Theo Walcott's on the left. Ramsey still on the right. And here is Walcott. Monreal, Sanchez climbing. And it's thrashed in by Theo Walcott. The selection pays off for Arsene Wenger. The pressure pays off for Arsenal. In the 40th minute, the breakthrough.
And it came about from the switch of play, a brilliant pass from Coquelin. He's in as the holding midfield play, but he switched the play out to Walcott, who had just gone to that left-hand side. What a pass it was. The overlapping run was timed perfectly from Monreal. And from that moment on, Aston Villa were always in trouble. Here's the diagonal. Hutton tries to get out there, and Zogbia decides to go to the ball. Hutton doesn't go with the run. He's onside Monreal. And when it comes to the far post, Sanchez with a good header, and what an excellent finish it is from Theo Walcott on his weaker side. He runs off of Zogbia there. He's first to react, and then hits through the back of the ball. Great finish from Arsenal's centre-forward.
Well, he's had a lot of frustration, Theo Walcott. A year out injured, then being fit again and not able to get in the team. But what a week. A hat-trick on Sunday and a goal in the FA Cup final 6 days later, and giving the scoreline a realistic look from what we've seen in 40 minutes.
Well, we thought that Aston Villa might cause one or two problems to Arsenal. They haven't done so far. Walcott just swapping from that central position out to the left. Fractions before that big pass from Coquelin. Everything's going Arsene Wenger's way at the moment.
You said earlier, Stuart, about how good he is at taking chances. And this was no routine ball to strike.
Certainly wasn't, but take nothing away also from Sanchez, who won the ball in the air up against Richardson. Getting the ball back into the danger area, so that man there can get his finish away, and that's what it means to the supporters behind that goal.
And it was a little switch before that, wasn't it? And Walcott finding himself on the left after, and Sanchez in the middle to guide it back. And at the moment, they're still set up that way. In by Richardson. Well, they were 1 down against Liverpool. Benteke inspired the comeback with an equaliser. That was before half-time in the semi-final. And Delph went on to win it in the second half. So struggling to win the ball here.
Aston Villa aren't happy with the referee at the moment. They think that Arsenal don't like physical contact. Every time they get a challenge in, it's been given as a foul.
Here's Walcott now on the right. Ball back to him from Ramsey. And again, good work from Kieran Richardson. Going to work overtime.
Again, he had to get that absolutely right, Kieran Richardson. Here's the tackle. He makes his mind up to go to ground fairly early.
You do feel it's really vital from Aston Villa's perspective not to concede again before half-time. Pressure is on again here. Just away by Benteke. Grealish again. Not fazed by getting the ball in his own penalty area. Back by Bellerin. So the holders are happy at the moment.
They certainly are. And Bellerin's had a good game against Grealish. I'll be surprised if Grealish comes out for the second half. He hasn't really had an influence on the game. Agbonlahor is on the bench, a player that may cause Arsenal problems with his pace.
Monreal again with a good cross by Richardson. To double back as Arsenal put pressure on his side of the pitch again. That's good work by Ozil. Further across it with his left foot. Steers it in. Arsenal's domination continuing right up to the half-time whistle.
There again you see, because they've got such good possession, the holding midfield player, one of the holding midfield players, Cazorla, can then make the run forward. Cleverly had to go with him.
Two added minutes. A bit of sorting out to be done by referee Moss, Benteke and Mertesacker. Here comes the corner. Contractual issue to be solved for Theo Walcott as well. There's a match problem to be sorted out by Tim Sherwood, and that might be the answer there. Gabby Agbonlahor, Aston Villa through and through. Brought up, what, 3 miles from the ground. Not been fit often enough to be a starter, as he has so often been down the years.
And the problem will be where to play him. Does he play him right up the top with Benteke, which will leave them short in that midfield area, where they've been totally dominated already.
Alexis Sanchez running into trouble. Zogbia showing a bit of frustration at his teammate Jack Grealish. That won't help Aston Villa.
Well, it's between Grealish and Nzogbia who will come off, I'd imagine, if they do make that change.
Ozil. Arsenal piling on the pressure. Villa can get out here with Delph. Again, it's tough for Grealish. It's a wild one by Monreal, who's used the ball so well in this first half, which has now come to an end. Well, it's Arsenal's half, but it took until the 40th minute for them to show that on the scoreline. Arsene Wenger getting closer to history, and Theo Walcott is the man responsible for it. The, if you like, surprise selection today, not because of lack of ability, but lack of match action recently, but he's justified the choice with the only goal of the first half, in which Aston Villa have really struggled to make an impact, and they've needed Shea Given to make one fine save from Koscielny. A great block by Richardson as well to deny Walcott an earlier goal. At half-time, it is Arsenal 1, Aston Villa 0. Walcott and Ozil waiting for the signal, and they've got it, and the second half is underway. More of the same, Stuart Robson, from Arsenal's point of view?
Well, Arsenal don't need to change anything. Their passing was really good, their movement, they were bright, but they also defended well all around the field. Aston Villa never got a grip of the ball, they couldn't see a forward pass, and when crosses came into the box, his men couldn't get on the end of it. Agbonlahor hasn't come on yet, but I'm sure he will be on if things stay the same.
And Zogbia, Delph trying to play it forward, and will need to think perhaps of a better route to get forward. They've not had enough controlled possession really to get into the kind of groove that was so special here against Liverpool.
All the two players that were so vital in that performance just haven't done well so far, in Zogbia and Grealish.
Benteke. It's given it away very cheaply there. After a bit of ball carrying by Cleverley, maybe a bit too long with Cleverley. Here's Ozil. Santi Cazorla. Now Ramsey. Maybe trying to give his teammates the eyes, and the goalkeeper can't squeeze it in at the near post. He's certainly got a goal-getter's single-minded streak, we should say.
Well, he doesn't like playing out on that right-hand side, and he doesn't do it that often when he's out in that wide area. He likes to come in field. But Arsenal can interchange their positions. Walcott, we know, has been playing through the middle, can play on either wing. Ozil likewise can play in behind the main striker or go wide, but there's the player that's dictated a lot of the play. Cazorla in that midfield area. He's had an outstanding season.
Vlaar. But, although they've been good value for their 1-0 lead, Arsenal, the job is certainly not done from their point of view. Westwood. The flag had gone up. When the FA Cup started, Aston Villa were a very prominent name. 5 of their 7 successes in the competition came before the First World War. They won it again in 1920, and then in, as we've mentioned a couple of times, 1957. Tim Sherwood hoping to put that hoodoo to bed here, but that expression tells you how the game has gone. But still plenty of time for a smile to appear. And there are 5 forward in this Villa attack. Hutton's cross. Delph getting into the box. Has that gone out? No. Grealish. Twisting and turning. Almost came for Delph. There was some space to counter-attack in. Villa had pushed numbers on a few moments earlier. Sanchez. Ozil. Who is full of vim and vigour, as you would expect. Sanchez can hit them from here. My word, he's hit that one and has totally ripped it past Shay Given. Alexis Sanchez at Wembley again.
Well, does it take a deflection, or does he just put a lot of swerve on this? Shay Given was beaten right over the top of him. But what a strike. When the ball comes out, Walcott lost possession. Arsenal pick it back up again. The run from Monreal just opens up the space. It doesn't take a deflection. That's just a brilliant strike from Alexis Sanchez. Hit with power and swerve, and just starts deviating halfway through its course. But what a great strike it is, off the underneath of the bar. But it's a good run from Monreal as well.
Well, 2 in the semi-final here. 2, as I mentioned before, for Chile in beating England. And he could be on for another double. But Arsenal have got their double. They lead Aston Villa by 2 goals to nil. Goals late in the first half and early in the second half. Sanchez again. Desperate to lunge at the ball from Vla. Ramsey trying to sneak into the middle. Sanchez had eyes elsewhere. Ozil. Arsenal in control at Wembley. But they know only to their benefit that a team leading 2-0 in an FA Cup final can be caught. So what they did to Hull, they must make sure Aston Villa do not do to them.
But there's been no indication so far that Aston Villa can get themselves back into this game. Here's the foul. Westwood coming across. He knows exactly what he's doing there, Westwood. That should be a booking. And he has got the yellow card. The holding midfield player for Aston Villa.
John Moss looking across because he's seen Tim Sherwood wasting no time after that second goal to change it. Zogbia, who was very good in the semi-final, like many Villa players in that front six, found it hard to get into the game here. So good of Arsenal being. And Gabriel Gabby Agbonlahor is on. He's a loser here in the League Cup, the final against Manchester United 5 years ago. He said he threw his loser's medal into a tree. Didn't want a piece of it. They felt they were denied unfairly that day, but they can't complain about what's happening here. But there's a different dimension, Stuart, the change. On the on. So there might be another goal behind here. Sanchez waiting for Ramsey, spotted at the far post.
Well, again, great composure from Sanchez, threatening to cross. Hutton dives in. It's all Arsenal at the moment. Aston Villa will play with 2 up front. It looks as though Grealish will come to the right-hand side.
Away by Benteke. Lahore trying to hunt it down, at least forcing a wild kick out of play from Monreal. There haven't been too many wild kicks from Arsenal. They passed the ball well, and of course, when the ball's been there to hit in front of goal, it's been truly hit. Look at this.
Oh, it's brilliant from Sanchez, but take nothing away from Monreal. He took Hutton away with him. Cleverly couldn't get there. Westwood couldn't get there, but he strikes it perfectly. Has a little look up. The technique is brilliant. So he's just hit right through the back of the ball.
A celebration by Arsene Wenger there, but he'll be looking anxiously as the cross comes in here, and Chesney doesn't deal with it. Benteke back in by Westwood. Easier for the goalkeeper this time.
Well, that's what would give Aston Villa encouragement. Chesney coming for that one and making a bit of a mess of it. I'd have liked that to have happened earlier on in the game when he came for those first 2 or 3 and did really well. But he's been a great signing, hasn't he, Alexis Sanchez, for Arsenal. We saw him in that first game you were talking about here at Wembley against Manchester City in the Community Shield. And he's got better and better.
Here he is again. Arsenal really looking for the killer goal here. Wouldn't have counted. It hasn't counted, it's gone in the end. But the flag was already up in the first place against Walcott.
But they're going to be cut apart down that right-hand side. Just looking at Tim Sherwood, I think he's trying to get Grealish to play in behind Agbonlahor. Here it comes again, lots of space. He's just offside, doesn't need to be offside. Another great save from Shay Given. Coming in from the far post, he's looking right along the line. It's actually good technique that he uses with the finish.
Grealish, Delph, with Benteke. Here's Richardson. And again, it's the kind of service that Benteke can thrive on. It should come back in again from Alan Hutton here. Nice to cope with Mertesacker, then Ozil, then Ramsey. Sanchez, Westwood stepping in. Got to take some risks, Villa now. Arsenal have the capacity to cut them to ribbons. Remember now, in their 3 meetings this season, it's 10 goals for Arsenal and none for Villa.
And they look a tired side at the moment, Villa. Tom cleverly jogging back.
Ozil. Chance for handball. I don't think there was any way the Villa player could have got out of the way as Ramsey hit it. Here's Ramsey again. Westwood deceived. Cazorla twisting and turning. Aston Villa being twisted and turned here, and Given stops it being 3-0. And stops Santi Cazorla scoring at Wembley again. Here's Cleverley. Using claret and blue, not giving it up.
Mertesacker doing really well in the air there against Benteke.
Cut out by Hutton. Delph. Good change of pace by Richardson. Neatly done by Koscielny. Here comes Mesut Ozil. Walcott making a run, leaving some space for Alexis Sanchez. Couldn't take advantage. There wasn't that much space. Villa closed him down. Well, they didn't close him down from the edge of the box. There will be some blame apportioned to Shay Given, I guess, because it went in reasonably centrally. But this was another fine save.
It's the right height for him. Cazorla, who's been outstanding, doesn't have to have much of a backlift, gets his shot away.
This was the shout for handball, Ramsey against Hutton. It was in real time. It doesn't look as handball as that does.
No, I think it'd be very unlucky if the referee gave a penalty for that one.
Still more than half an hour to go. The last 4 times the FA Cup has been retained, before it looks as though it's going to be retained again today, have been by London clubs. Arsenal themselves did it 02 and 03. Flag up on this near side. Spurs twice, 62 and 82, Arsenal 03, Chelsea 2010, and it looks like Arsenal 2015. But this is the FA Cup, and Villa have shown in the last 5 minutes or so, since they Brought Agbon Lahore on. But they might as well be hung for a sheep as a lamb.
This is the player that may be able to get forward and get crosses in, Richardson.
Here is Agbon Lahore, he's onside. Delph in the middle. Benteke in the middle. Here's Cleverly. Westwood. Cleverly again. Must have a player down. Villa play on. Delph. Now Okora. It's Hector Bellerin. He's back on his feet and getting back into position. Benteke's header in. And this is where Arsenal can kill Villa off. And with Walcott, they might be able to do that just now. It's perfectly set up for Theo Walcott in these circumstances. A one-man counter-attack. Bellerin seems okay now. Here's Monreal and Sanchez. Bellerin. Ramsey has a go. And they're still going. That's Arsenal a corner for the chairman and the royal fan. Not a good day for a player who's had a go and been taken off relatively early. Not a good day for an aspiring manager. Not a good day. But look at the clock. Keep the faith, you never know. But a third for Arsenal and it surely curtains. And there it is. Mertesacker. Tim Sherwood sees a soft one go in. Stuart Robson.
Well, we talked about Benteke at the other end causing Mertesacker problems, but on this occasion Benteke doesn't defend it well enough, and Mertesacker might come off his shoulder. It's a soft goal. They haven't got anybody on the far post, Aston Villa, but Arsenal have completely dominated this game. Physically they've been better, tactically they've been better, and technically they've been better. And here, from the set play, Mertesacker takes Benteke towards the ball, just holds his position. It's far too easy. Benteke, a top-class player at one end, doesn't defend well enough.
Heads it onto his shoulder, and it just makes the goal look even worse to concede, really. But he scored in the semi-final against Wigan last season. He scored for Germany to beat England here around the time Sanchez, also in another international in that particular international break, scored his too. So he wouldn't call Mertesacker a specialist goal scorer, but he is a man with a Wembley hat-trick to his name of sorts. And that surely has seen off Aston Villa. I mean, we've had some remarkable stories in FA Cup finals down the years, but from 3-0 down,
you just can't see it happening, can you? Now they've got to concentrate, Arsenal. Benteke's now got to beat Mertesacker in the air, and he's got his team fired up for a few weeks. Tim Sherwood, they just haven't been able to play in this game so far. They've been thoroughly dominated.
Aston Villa looking for their first goal against Arsenal this season, let alone in this match. And Delph takes. And Szczesny, he looked for a moment, and he wasn't quite sure of how to deal with the situation, does deal with it.
Well, they try and get the flick on at the near post. There's one of his own players almost falling into it.
Delph. Grealish. Arsenal score 3 in successive FA Cup finals. Westwood, cleverly. Hung up by Hutton. Bellerin did well. Akore.
You have to also remember that Arsenal against Anderlecht earlier in the season were 3 goals up.
Yeah.
Drew the game 3-0. Can't really see it happening here at the moment. Aston Villa's build-up play has been far too slow. When they've had chance in 1v1 situations, they haven't been able to beat their man. Benteke hasn't won enough balls in the air.
Grealish. Not the day he was hoping for. There's still 25 minutes to go. Delph. Benteke drops for Tom cleverly. He scored in 3 consecutive games not that long ago. Hutton. No one was running down that particular channel for Cleverley.
This will really hurt Tim Sherwood. He felt as though he could get his players motivated for the game. Tactical, he was excellent against Liverpool, but they've been totally outplayed here. They just haven't been able to get tight to Arsenal in central midfield. The wide players have caused Aston Villa problems. They haven't also been able to create opportunities.
Grealish. Well, they're still putting numbers in there, and suggest we're going to get chances at both ends, because if Arsenal break, I'm not sure Aston Villa have got the resources to deal with the quality that's coming at them now, with the relaxation that the 3-0 lead can bring. Ozil. Ooh. Well, he got back up again. And Mesut Ozil goes on, and then maybe looks a little bit weary.
The question was it in the box?
Yeah.
When he went to ground, he received the ball outside the box, tried to go inside Akore.
Well, Andrew Bakuna, who started the semi-final at right back, Kieran Richardson, who's put in a good shift and done some desperate defending, but remember, missed the 2 previous games. Concerned perhaps about that calf strain. I would assume Hutton will go to left back.
And that's exactly what's happening.
Yeah. It's not really a change to try and influence the shape of the game. It's one Tim Sherwood would probably have had to make at this stage, whatever the scoreline.
We haven't really seen Agbonlahor be able to get in behind Arsenal. That's what he's good at doing.
Well, here goes Hutton from left back. Sanchez. Coquelin has made this remarkable renaissance for Arsenal this season. He's just a squad player, was out on loan at Charlton, and then recalled. Arteta hasn't played since November.
And what a difference
stepped in.
What a difference he's made. He's been athletic, he's read situations. Arsenal always believed, I think Arsene Wenger always believed he wasn't quite good enough technically to play in this Arsenal first team, but we saw with that pass for the opening goal that he can pick out a pass, he can go past people, he can manipulate the ball.
Ramsey trying to find Ozil. It's around the time that Arsene Wenger tends to make his substitutions. And that's the happy end of the ground. So many the traditional red and white Arsenal shirts. It's claret and blue at the other end for Tim Sherwood, but he's feeling blue at the moment. Getting beaten is one thing, but getting torn apart could get worse here. Go back to 1994 when Manchester United beat Chelsea 4-0. It's going to be another change from Tim Sherwood. Carlos Sanchez, the Colombian who was suspended from the semi-final. Places Ashley Westwood. Like for like. So that's the full set for substitutions for Tim Sherwood.
No, Westwood wasn't able to influence the game, was he? He was bypassed that a little bit too easily. Wasn't able to get on the ball and dictate the play as he can do.
Benteke. Rarity of a cup final between two sides with the same initials. Last one was Manchester United against Millwall in 2004. Liverpool Leeds back in the 60s. Blackpool Bolton, a famous cup final, 1953. The Matthews final in which Stan Mortensen scored a hat-trick, and it's still the Matthews Cup final. Good work by Sanchez, who even when he's not been playing well, which hasn't been that often this season for Arsenal, is always putting in a shift. Flower backpedaling.
But again, it shows how well Arsenal have defended all around the field. Those players that are sometimes criticised for not working hard enough when they haven't got possession have done a really good job today. It's been difficult for Aston Villa to pick out their next pass, to find space. The likes of Grealish, who was so good against Liverpool's, hardly had an impact on the game.
Here's Cleverly. Now Bakuna. Cleverly. Bakuna trying to put it in, but no height of the Benteke variety. .25 goals he's got this season now in all competitions.
Well, we saw him playing for Chile here, didn't we? Where he was absolutely brilliant.
He was the difference, actually, on the night.
Played in almost a right-sided position, didn't he? Coming infield to link up with the front player.
Here's Ramsey.
Also came into Arsenal off the back of a very good World Cup and a tough World Cup for Chile.
Now he's got the Copa America. But they love playing South Americans particularly. Very rarely been rotated by Arsene Wenger. Alexis Sanchez, you feel he's in the manager's ear all the time saying, don't leave me out, don't leave me out. Don't give me a rest. Ozil.
It's very difficult for these Aston Villa players. Tony Parks is screaming at his players to go and close the ball, the goalkeeping coach. But when they have pressed the ball, Arsenal have just played round them. They've been too good. It's deflating for those players that are closing the ball down. Too many easy passes for Arsenal to play.
And there were a couple of easy ones there that Coquelin played a while. Well, that's Stan Kroenke. There was Americans involved at both clubs. And he stuck with Arsene Wenger, and the trophies have started to come again without prejudicing what Aston Villa might do in the last 16 minutes here. Sanchez. Acuna. Into Grealish. Acuna. Sanchez, Grealish, waiting on the left. Cleverly trying to find the pass there, maybe cause a bit of confusion. Nothing confused about Aaron Ramsey. Deals with the dropping ball. Arsenal are readying a couple of replacements. The expected ones, Olivier Giroud and Jack Wilshere, who scored a tremendous goal, the other goal, after the Walcott hat-trick in the 4-1 win over West Bromwich Albion last Sunday.
See, these are the areas where Aston Villa just haven't been able to find that final pass. There's not been that movement that we've seen from Arsenal. Benteke's had to go back again. Then there's pressure on the ball. Arsenal win it back.
Ramsey. For Walcott, he's got a bit to do here. And he tried to take the shot early, where Akure was getting to him. But not as composed as the finish.
What a pass it was. What a pass it was from Aaron Ramsey as well. But Walcott, once he gets in that position, tries to bend it into that far corner, doesn't get the bend he's looking for.
And that is his last contribution.
Well, it was a big decision, wasn't it, by Arsene Wenger to play him. And he repaid his manager's faith with this opening goal. Great strike with his left foot on the volley, great control in it, and that set Arsenal on their way.
And this way to Olivier Giroud. And Jack Wilshere comes on for Mesut Ozil. There's pretty decent replacements.
Outstanding players. It was only a couple of seasons ago we were talking about Jack Wilshere being one of the best players England have produced for a while with his talent.
I think that still applies, but it's his injury record. Ozil disappointed, I think, to leave what was becoming a party on the pitch. Here's Bellerin. That's a career goal against Aston Villa to his name in a short career to this point. Arsenal really looking to ice the cake now. Some clever footwork from Ramsey, almost got him through. Monreal. Bellerin. Ramsey still full of running. And now they've got Giroud's height to look for in the middle. And Monreal, who scored in the quarter-final, remember, against Manchester United. Koscielny out battling Benteke.
And I think that sums up the difference between the two sides. Benteke was going to be the big hope for Tim Sherwood. He's built him up, he's built him up. What problems he might be able to cause Arsenal hasn't really been the case. Koscielny and Mertesacker have dealt with him really well.
Mertesacker, who started it all off actually with the first goal in the third round against Hull. The third goal in the final And certainly not sure with over 10 minutes to go that that'll be the last goal of the cup run, despite the sense of symmetry it would bring. Here's Agbonlahor. Oh! Well, John Moss says no. Stuart Robson?
Well, from our position, certainly in the box. Agbonlahor running. Coquelin was struggling to get back there. Here he makes the challenge. He doesn't get the ball. He brings him down, but it looks like it may have just been outside the box. Whichever way it is, it was a foul. He doesn't get anything of the ball. John Moss doesn't have a very good view, as you'll see there. He has to peer around to 2 or 3 players, but the assistant was on this near side.
That's probably the hardest call he's had to make in his 80 minutes as an FA Cup final referee.
Tim Sherwood asking the question. It was definitely a foul, no doubt about that. Whether it was in the box, it was touch and go. But it was a silly challenge for Coquelin to make at that point.
Cazorla. Bellerin. Looking for Wilshere, but not finding him, and out comes Sanchez. Agbonlahor tries again. Mertesacker. Well, 10 minutes I think Arsenal can really enjoy. They're certainly going to be counting the minutes till the final whistle here. And the FA Cup paradise retained. Sanchez. Wilshere. Shall we dance? Sanchez and Bacuna. Oh, and then well, nothing convivial about that.
Well, having tried to just dance past him, he knew the next challenge that was going to come in. Bacuna had lost his head there and went through the back of Sanchez. Agbonlahor arguing, has got himself a yellow card, still arguing about the penalty that he thought should have been given.
Arsenal need to be a little less ambitious with this free kick. They go short. Sanchez intercepts. Actually, Agbonlahor, I mentioned that League Cup final against Manchester United. There was a penalty in that which they got and scored, but there should have been a sending off. Nemanja Vidic, I think, was the player involved. That's when they should have played that game against 10 men, and they lost 2-1 to the 11 of Manchester United. It looked as though Villa had got that away from Olivier Giroud, but he didn't give it up.
Yeah, there's the challenge. Giroud is holding on to Vlaar. Vlaar then dives across him. Could have gone either way. Foul goes in Arsenal's favour.
It's been that kind of day, hasn't it, for Aston Villa?
Most things have gone against Aston Villa.
It's not to say there's any injustice about the scoreline. The attendance, 89,283, as I said, just short of the 90.
I think the worst thing for Aston Villa and Tim Sherwood, it's been demoralising. They've been totally outplayed. They haven't been able to get tight to Arsenal. They haven't made it a difficult game for Arsenal. And they haven't been able to create chances up the other end. He's got a lot of thinking to do, Tim Sherwood.
Arsenal engaged in a little bit of running down the clock, but you can flick a switch and be engaged on trying to make it 4-0. Powerful man, Okore, isn't he? He's a defender who may well get better. He's young. Ironic immense applause because Aston Villa got a free kick from their fans at that end of the stadium. So I suppose the call that Tim Sherwood might question was that jump you mentioned, Stuart, of Alexis Sanchez to set up the opening goal. Wilshere determined to make the most of his time on the pitch. Needed cleverly to tidy up then. Here comes Delph again. Agbon Lahore. Grealish trying to get across. It actually bounced back off him. Thought the ball had gone out. There's another shout waved away by John Moss. 3 forward for Arsenal on the break here. Sanchez is one of them. That's Alexis Sanchez. Carlos Sanchez got the ball back for Aston Villa. Bakuna throwing everything at it. Grealish they're still at least trying to get some sort of consolation on the scoreline, but they could be caught out here. Giroud.
Wrong angle on the pass from Olivier Giroud. No Walcott on the field now to try and run in behind. Sanchez played him the ball and continued his run.
4 minutes plus stoppage time. It's been an open final in terms of the shape of the game. But the quality of the team finished third in the Premier League, clearly surpassing that of the team that finished 17th. And the 2 league games, a barometer, as it turned out, of what we've seen here today. Here's Bakuna. Benteke not even really getting up to his full jump. His late labouring stage. It's emotional as well as physical. Wilshere.
I think a lot was taken out of Aston Villa in that first half. They couldn't get near the ball. They were trying. They had 3 players booked. They wanted to make it a physical game. They wanted to press Arsenal, and Arsenal just played around their pressure. Here is that penalty shout again. Does he keep the ball in play? Yes, he does. Well, Bellerin's got his arms all over Grealish here. If the ball is in play, then that surely has to be a penalty. Yes, Grealish may go down rather easily, but Bellerin had his arms all over him.
Bakuna couldn't get to that, but then it bounced off Aaron Ramsey. What's Bakuna doing? Arsenal, the highest of high presses. Delph. Two minutes to go. Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain is actually down there hoping to get on in an FA Cup final. Delph. Carlos Sanchez. Benteke. Grealish took it well. Trying to work his way through. He's never scored for Aston Villa. Shinned away by Mertesacker. Agbon Lahore left his foot in, and Arsenal can make their last change. And it's Alexis Sanchez who is going off to get his own personal ovation. Having struck his 5th Wembley goal. Arsenal's second today, that pushed them on in the second half.
Well, I think if there was any question mark whether Arsenal were going to go and win this at half-time, whether Aston Villa could get back into it, this changed everything. Great strike from Sanchez. Yes, he gets a bit of time, but look at the way the ball bends in the air. Shay Given starts to move one way, can't get back across it, but he also had a part to play in the opening goal, winning that header when the ball came into the box.
Well, he's just back from a couple of injuries. Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain was hurt at Manchester United in the quarter-final. And then when he was recovering from that problem, damaged a hamstring in training. He'll be pleased that there's going to be at least 3 minutes of added time. Wilshere, Giroud. Wilshere saying, give it back to me. Asking Ramsey to chase that, but unlike Jack Wilshere, Ramsey's been on the pitch the whole game.
Yeah, Ramsey didn't look too happy about that ball being played in front of him. He's done a lot of work, Aaron Ramsey.
Grealish still going.
And there's probably the most influential player on the field, Santi Cazorla.
Is cleverly in the dying embers of the FA Cup final 2015. Number 15 is Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain.
You mentioned Okore. He's one of the Aston Villa players that has worked really hard. He's kept going. He's made some excellent blocks.
In by Carlos Sanchez. Only Benteke for the best part of 40 minutes. That looked a route for Aston Villa in a game that Arsenal were dominating but not scoring. This is the important work of the trophy engraver.
I'm not sure he needed to leave it quite so late.
Well, you mentioned the 3-3 against Anderlecht. Maybe he knew about that as well.
But at that time, I don't think Arsenal are playing anywhere near as well as they're playing at the moment. This has been a superb display by Arsene Wenger's men, both with the ball, without the ball.
Still Grealish looking for the ball, looking for Benteke. And you can say, well, Arsenal, of course, knew what they had to do. They had a similar experience last year, but there were quite a few changes in the team this time, half a dozen. And so Arsene Wenger had to look again, inspire again, and his team have been inspiring.
Well, he made the big decision by playing Theo Walcott. I'm not sure he was excellent in the first half. He didn't get in behind Aston Villa that often, which they were looking for him to do, but he made that first goal by switching out to the left-hand side on that occasion. There's not been a bad performance from an Arsenal player.
Wilshere. Went in for Giroud here. It's 4. Well, that does wrap it up. 3-0 at Villa Park. 5-0 at Arsenal's Emirates Stadium, and 4-0 now here at Wembley.
And what a clever flick. He's done this so often in his Arsenal career, making the run towards the near post. This time, he doesn't have to run past defenders because they're too high. The ball actually comes back on the cross. He's at the far post. They go to sleep. It's clever play here. He's not in front of the ball, he's behind the ball, or level with the ball. Can't play him offside, but what a good flick. Oxlade-Chamberlain with the pass, and it is a pass, not a cross. And there's the flick over Shay Given. He's done it time and time again, Olivier Giroud, in at that near post area over the last couple of seasons.
Well, he said it would be about the whole squad. And in the end, it was with that fourth goal. Arsenal keep hold of the FA Cup and set a new record. It's theirs for the 12th time. A 6 under Arsene Wenger, another milestone. Aston Villa's wait for this trophy goes on. They have been put to the sword here. They're shaking their heads and wondering what might have been, but there was never a moment really where you thought they were going to take the trophy from Arsenal. Certainly not from the moment Theo Walcott scored in the 40th minute. And then Alexis Sanchez from long range, Per Mertesacker with an unmarked header, and then Olivier Giroud with a shrewd flick, emphasising the difference in one match and in one season between Arsenal and Aston Villa.
Yeah, there was a gulf between the two sides today, as you said, and throughout the season. Tim Sherwood has worked really hard with this Aston Villa side, but today couldn't get it going.
Arsenal 4, Aston Villa 0.
Well, Arsenal finished third in the Premier League, Aston Villa 17th, and that gap was certainly on show tonight. And Arsenal, comprehensive 4-0 winners. They had plenty of chances in the first half. They ran away with it in the second. Patrick and Foz watched the entire game with me and Patrick. It was really a quality performance from Arsenal. They got the job done and deserved the victory.
Yeah, I think Aston Villa got beat by a superior team, and you know, 4-0, we were talking about it, 5-0 they lost away, and 3-0 at home is 8 divided by 2 is 4 goals, and it actually happened. But like, they can't say anything. I think they were lucky that Arsenal didn't push further after the 3-0, because otherwise it might be a bigger score, and fully deserved to Arsenal, because they played some great football, and when they got some subs on, they were still great players. Giroud came on and Wilshere came on, so overall they got such a great depth, and Wenger got his prize, so he's got his job secure.
And obviously great scenes for Arsenal, not so much for Aston Villa and Sherwood. Coming up, the presentation and more reaction from Wembley. See you soon. Welcome back to the FA Cup final, live on SBS. We've just seen Arsenal move ahead of Manchester United to 12 FA Cup titles. Let's now cross back to Stuart Robson and Martin Tyler for the presentation.
That's gone now, and I suppose that excuse is gone. He didn't use it as an excuse, but it was an explanation for those 9 barren years between 2005 FA Cup, 2014 FA Cup. But what everyone, I think, in this country, from the neutral point of view, is waiting to see whether Arsenal can... They're a very good but a very nice side to become that Mourinho-like side.
Well, the greatest teams, and I played against some of them in the 80s, Liverpool, they were brilliant with the ball, but when you had the ball, you didn't get a kick. And the same with Everton in the late 80s. The same with Manchester United when they were playing their best. The same when Arsenal were at their very best. When Arsene Wenger first took over. That hasn't been the case in recent years. They've been too easy to play against. Not today.
Well, that is the modern way of celebrating success. That's not so much a selfie as a proper full-blown photographer's kit for Santi Cazorla, nearly as big as he is.
Well, some cameramen will be worrying where his camera's gone.
I'm impressed they all know how to make it work.
There's the German dirt.
What a 12 months those two have had.
Yeah,
World
brilliant.
Cup winners and FA Cup winners twice.
Both were criticised for Germany.
Yeah.
Remember that game against...
Well, Mertesacker lost his place, didn't he? Yeah.
After the Algerian game, I think it was.
Yeah. And Ozil played pretty much whenever Jogi Löw went for a team that mattered, as you would do in a World Cup, every game. he played.
The most successful manager in the FA Cup, Arsene Wenger.
There was a fella called George Ramsey, who was manager secretary in the old days, and he oversaw 6 Aston Villa successes. So we should bracket Villa with that on a day of tears for their young supporters. And Peter McParland and the goalkeeper Nigel Sims expected here from the 57 side. We'll think, I suppose, we're still the last ones to have won it.
I think the disappointment for Aston Villa fans, they came here with great hope, expectations. They thought they were going to give Arsenal a tough game. Even if they lost, they were hoping they were going to give Arsenal a really good game. It didn't happen. They were totally outplayed. They just didn't play with enough drive when they had the ball, and probably didn't play with, I have to say, enough intelligence when they didn't have the ball.
Yes, it's easy to say the energy that was there against Liverpool was missing today, but that's because they were chasing and chasing and chasing. And as you said in commentary, Stuart, by half-time, although they were only 1-0 down, there were a lot of that vim and verve was out of them. Well, there's a couple of occasions where John Moss could have helped Villa out with certainly the Grealish one was inside the area. Agbon Lahore one, which looked more of a foul, was close, could have been in, could have been out. Ray Lewis, former Premier League referee, shaking hands there. Well, while they were battling to stay in the Premier League, they were progressing in the FA Cup. There is Peter McParland. Those 2 goals against Manchester United in May 1957. He still talks about them as if he scored them today. He's got great clarity of memory. He's in wonderful shape, touch wood for him. And at 81, you know, he'll have his views on what went wrong today. And you can't charge the goalkeepers, Peter, like you did.
Some try, but they don't get away with it.
Yeah. Well, they beat Blackpool in the 3rd round. Bournemouth, that's quite a scout. Bournemouth won the Championship, be playing in the Premier League next season. Then the 3 Premier League wins. Leicester, West Bromwich Albion, big local rivalry there. And Liverpool, the semi-final that we've talked about a lot as a benchmark for what Villa were striving to do today. But they couldn't get there.
What Tim Sherwood will be asking himself over the next few weeks, which was the Aston Villa side, the one, or which is closer to the Aston Villa side, the one that played against Liverpool here and played so well, or the one that lost heavily and lost at Southampton only a couple of weeks ago. So he's got a lot of big decisions to make.
Yes, and with Randy Lerner saying that he's stepping down, whether that will have an impact on how much money he's got to spend to make those decisions. But Tim Sherwood is a fighter, and he's taken one today, but he'll come back. Greg Dyke, chairman of the FA, has had a lot to do in the FIFA episodes of the past 2 or 3 days. And back on domestic duty here. There's no consoling Tim Sherwood.
There's some days that you know that things aren't going to go your way. You've been totally outplayed, and during the game he wouldn't have known how to change things to improve it, because everything he did, Arsenal were far, far superior.
There's Mikel Arteta, who's been out of action for a long time, but was the captain, of course, and may be involved in this ceremony here. Great moments, soaking up the success. Gabriel, who didn't get on, one of the young defenders brought in. But Tim Sherwood off for solace, reflection, and as you say, Stuart, preparations for next season.
Well, he won't get too long. His mind will already be focused on next year. Will today's performance change any of his views about individual players? You'd hope not.
Well, there is the trophy. It's looking very shiny. It's only its 2nd year. Remember, it was brought out last year, replacing the 1992 edition. And Prince William has to present the cup, and I'm sure he will do with proper good grace, to the side that's just beaten his beloved Aston Villa. It's in place, and it's going to be returning where it came from, at least for another year.
Well, last year, Arsenal had to fight their way back. It was a poor start. A start that showed still Arsenal had frailties, particularly in the air, at set plays, but no frailties today. Much, much better performance from them.
Yeah, when they needed to defend, they did very well. Laurent Koscielny at the heart of that. The Wanderers and Blackburn Rovers, 3 in a row. A bit early to start thinking about that, but it's a possibility for Arsenal. Yes, Mikel Arteta is there. They've all played their part, which is just as Arsene Wenger would have wanted it. Arteta, of course, played last season, collected the trophy last season.
Following the trend of managers wearing their club scarves.
Well, when you're in your 60s, it's getting a little bit chilly. What are we? Past 7:30 local time. Callum Chambers in the middle there, but not involved today. Undoubtedly Arsenal's day. So many recent cup finals have been decided by a single goal. They've done it by a 4-goal margin. And the FA Cup returns to Arsenal. Mertesacker amongst the goal scorers today. A brilliant day for what has looked a brilliant team. You can point to the shortcomings of Aston Villa, but they were never allowed to get into the match. Particularly once Arsenal had scored, to convert that superiority into goals. There was really never a moment of doubt, particularly after Sanchez fired in that spectacular second.
Well, that was the moment that killed off the game, wasn't it? Arsenal had been dominant in that first half, but only gone in 1 goal up. You thought Aston Villa might come out and play with more vigour, more intelligence, but in the end, that goal just killed off any hopes of Aston Villa getting back into the game.
Yeah, thanks to Martin Tyler and Stuart Robson at Wembley. Arsenal, 19 FA Cup finals, 12 wins and 6 for Wenger. Boys, we said it before, Foz, Arsenal fully deserved the win today, but that is some record. 19 FA Cup finals, the most out of any team in England, and 12 wins. That's a new record as well.
Oh, quite brilliant, and it was a supreme performance, really, right from the start, albeit for probably a 15-minute period was all Aston Villa had, when they pressed very, very high early, and it was always going to be their pressing where they might have got something, because they showed that they were incapable of being able to play through this Arsenal team, and in the end it was just a succession of crosses, and when you got Per Mertesacker in there, about 8 foot tall, it's no good throwing in a million crosses, and you know, we're just watching it go wide, cross in, go wide, cross in, go wide, cross in. You can see why they lack different or variation in their attack. That's why they're 17th. And the big challenge for Tim Sherwood is going to be bringing some more quality to that attack, because that's not going to work against the top teams. But I tell you what, I thought Coquelin was absolutely brilliant. He was unbelievable. Right from the first half, when they had some organisation in the pressing, they were leaving Mertesacker free, allowing him to have the ball. It was a bit difficult early stages to get the ball into midfield, and Coquelin is the one who was getting on the ball, turning people, going past them, and switching the ball out. And I thought he really brought the Gunners into the game. Cazorla just strolls around, does whatever he wants because he's brilliant anyway. Ozil also had a fabulous game. And of course Alexis Sanchez was very strong, headed it down for the first goal, smashed the second in, and finished, I think they said, with 25 goals for the season. What a signing he's been by Wenger. So it's a triumphal end to what is a very good season now, and looking forward, Gunners fans will be with great anticipation towards next year.
And this man has had so much pressure on him, Patrick, and last year the final was the first trophy in 9 years. So, you know, a lot of people were demanding silverware, success. So at least this has brought a bit of relief. But Foz just said that this now gives momentum for the next season and new hope for Arsenal fans. So you can see there he's very happy.
Yeah, and the pressure was on him because he's got such a big amount of money to spend every year. He gets always talented players. Plays brilliant football for the last 4 or 5 years, yet doesn't win any prizes. And I think Mourinho had a few digs at him for, you know, it's great to play 1,000 passes in the game. And
seems like every week he has a dig at him.
Yeah, and play brilliant football, yet you need to score goals, you need to win games to really become a champion. And this gives him a little bit of relief. Yeah, the pressure will be in from day one next season.
Yeah.
Can they perform again as a team and to compete in the titles again and really be competitive against Chelsea and stuff?
We can ask Mourinho about him. He gets here tomorrow, doesn't
Yeah,
he?
exactly. But
So it's nice timing. He's going to arrive in the country just when Wenger's won another trophy.
But
It's
Foz,
great.
where should they strengthen? How do they compete with the likes of Chelsea? In your view, where does this squad need bolstering?
Well, I'd have to go to the stats, but I think that they can do with some support in defence. It'd be interesting to pull that up. But, you know, in the centre of midfield, I think what I would have said before this game, that they need some more strength in there, some support for Cazorla and Ozil and these just brilliant creative players. Flamini is not the player that he once was. And you're talking about the very, very top level here, trying to win a Champions League and trying to win the league again. And you look at what the other top teams, you know, Chelsea, of course, have Fabregas. They have, Oscar going forward. But there's, you know, in that area of the field, there's always top quality. But from what I saw from Coquelin tonight, if he can deliver that consistently, and that's the key to winning their championship, of course, then he is a very, very fine player. And he should be the solution.
And that is a big key, consistency, because there's always that period for Arsenal where they lose a few games, but it doesn't seem to happen to the likes of Chelsea or whoever's winning the title in any year. So that's also a factor, isn't it?
Yeah, so that's where you rely on depth, and that's where Mourinho always has a game plan. Me and Foz were talking about it, like Mourinho doesn't care about the way Chelsea plays. He always wants to win the game, and he will say, I'm parking the bus against a better Arsenal team and against a better Manchester United team. Yet after 90 minutes, he's the first coach to get interviewed about how great the win means for him and for his team. And that's with Arsenal the last few years, that they perform well, yet the consistency, what you said, is not always there. When Giroud scores 6 on the trot and then the 7th game he's